I love that song. When Jessica sent me a list of love-related songs because we're lighting the candle for love today, I chose that one, and she said, "Really?" But yes, because love isn't about when everything goes right, right? Love isn't about just when it's all going our way, but love's about being that presence in the midst of the pain, and about loving when it's not easy to do so. This world, which she talks about in the song that she sang to us about in the song, is backwards, right? We have been born into, grown into, live in this world and in this culture that tells you to get better, to achieve, you have to look at what you're doing wrong. You have to look at what's not right and then fix it. You have to look at the thing that's missing and get more of it, or find it somewhere, or hoard it and keep it and not share it. And we here at Unity, unitics, crazy people that we are, believe the exact opposite is true. That if we want more, we have to give it away. If we want more love, we have to give more love. If we want more peace, we have to be peace. If we want more money, we have to share it. That hoarding doesn't provide it for us. So much so that we use, on a lot of different levels here, we use a process called appreciative inquiry. And it's a change model developed actually for corporations that is based on only asking positive-based questions. Right? Only asking, what do we do well? Where do we shine? When have you been most happy? Because when we can focus on those moments in our lives, those things in our lives, we know that they will grow. When we give our energy and time and attention to them, they prosper, and therefore so do we. We believe in this so much that we persistently, unrelentingly, and constantly try and remain positive. So much so that even in our evaluations, the board of trustees does an evaluation of me yearly, and I do evaluation of the staff. And we use appreciative inquiry in that process. All we do is look at what we do well. Now, trust me, if you ask people what they do well, they'll tell you what they don't do well, regardless of the question you ask. So there's no need. And we all know, as advanced spiritual beings, that we can recite the things we want to improve. We can recite the things where we feel we are our growing edge. Isn't it nice to have the things you do well affirmed by other people? That they come to you and see you and say, you are God's perfect expression. You are divinity in expression. You are love. Your loving is a miracle. You are God's perfect child. And I love you exactly the way you are. You are whole, complete, a miracle. That you're here and that you're sharing and that you're loving is truly a gift to us and to the planet. Wow. What if you could start your day by looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I am divine in expression. I am a gift to the world. I am love. I am whole. I am more than enough. That understanding creates a new landscape, and that's what this process, this ritual of lighting this wreath is really all about. It's creating a new us and creating a new earth, a new heaven and a new earth right here and right now by illuminating the truth of who we are and expanding that circle of light, of love, of faith, of peace, till it encompasses us all. There's an expression, a way of loving. It's called agape love. And as I was preparing for this, I found this piece of art about agape love. And it has the heart, as obviously made from all these words, right? Divine, active, unconditional, self-sacrificing, thoughtful, love, agape. And I thought about all the words. Some of them stuck for me. I was like, really? It's like, what do I mean by that? And so when we talk about love here, we talk about divine love. And that we know that we are divine. And what do we mean by that? Well, our first principle is that there's only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. God. If there's only one thing, this energy, this force, this momentum we call God, then we have to be part of it, right? So we have to be of God. And that means that we are divinity itself in expression. You are the energy of God as you. And there's no one else like you. So it's inherently good. It's inherently good. No, that doesn't mean that everyone acts from that all the time, because God knows I don't. But that's the truth of who I am. And when I remember it, I am acting in agape love. The other one is active, and I loved this because it's not enough to know it. It's not enough to sit around and say, well, it's all good because I'm divine. It has to be activated and energized in your life. And that means to me awake, present, engaged. Right? It's not necessarily something physical, because we know there's lots of different ways to be of the world and in the world, and there's lots of different abilities in the world. When we think about it, Stephen Hawking certainly was awake, present, and engaged, but not exactly physical in the world like we would be doing. But he was so present. Now, he also probably might not agree with our definition of divinity and personal divinity, but I think, and I believe, that there's room in our definition that Mr. Hawking would have said yes. Our understanding of the universe, of this energy we call God. Unconditional. This one caught me, right? It's like, okay. So, yeah, we all know it's unconditional love. We love our children. We love people unconditionally. And that can be challenging, and also I don't want to be a doormat. I don't know about you, but I don't want to just let people walk all over me. But that's not what we're talking about in unconditional love, because love says no. Love says no, and all the parents in the room know that, that sometimes absolutely no is the answer, because it's what's right. It's what's best, in my opinion. So it is sometimes a very spiritual and loving thing to tell someone no. But you can also tell them no. Think about it this way. Someone may come and ask something from you. You can say no to them because it's not yours to give to them. Doesn't mean they can't get it somewhere else. You're not the source, right? God is the source of all of our good. So you can say no and let them go on to find where they'll really find it. It's often helpful to do that in romantic relationships. Someone wants you to love them the way they want to be loved. Well, that's not necessarily yours to do. But you're not saying, no, they're not lovable. I'm just saying there's another channel of your good for you. And love says stop. Love says stop because it's important to be having loving boundaries. It's important to be able to say, no, I won't be treated like that because I respect and love myself. I won't let you treat me that way. Please stop. And it's a gift to the person to learn an appropriate interaction. Love says stop. Love says no more killing. Love says war is incredibly unproductive. Love says, I cannot face this anymore. But without hostility and without more acts of violence. Love says, I value compassion. Right? Love in the face of cruelty, of hatred, of injustice. Love says, I value treating people fairly as I would want to be treated. And taking a stand like that is scary sometimes. Think about yourself when you were in school and the kids and the bullying. Think about yourself in public settings where it's really easy right now to make fun of someone. Can we stand up in those moments and say, I value compassion and empathy? Love says there is more than enough. Love says there's enough on the planet to go around. We can feed everyone. We can house everyone. We can clothe everyone. Everyone on the planet. There is more than enough to go around. How do we want to allocate our time, our energy, our love? Right? When we clothe people, when we feed them, when we house them, when we take care of those who are in need. What do we want to be? Love. That's what all those acts are. And love never acts out of fear. Right? So if you're wondering what you're acting out of, are you scared? Are you scared that there's not enough? Are you scared that they're going to take something from you, or scared you're going to lose your position? Well, love is the opposite of that. Love is literally the opposite of fear. To step forward in love knows that you are loved, you are divine, and that you can take the greatest risks of your life, and all will be well. Self-sacrificing. Well, this one was like, that's not a unity thing. We're not sacrificing anything here. Right? That's not a unity word, but I thought about it again, and it reminded me that love is empathy, as I mentioned before. So self-sacrificing just means not putting yourself first, being able to stop and knowing how well taken care of you are, and just be with someone else in their pain, in their suffering, in their confusion. That is self-sacrificing. And we can all do that at different times and in different places of our lives. How do we expand that? How do we grow further and further into that understanding that true empathy is self-sacrificing? Thoughtful. Love is thoughtful. This one was interesting for me because it meant patient. It meant that I needed to take time to figure out my response. Not to react, but to respond. And respond in love. To understand what that really is to be kind. There was a phrase that I used to use when I first started coming to Unity. Someone taught it to me, and I loved it. It's like, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said now? And unless I could answer yes to all those three questions, I should keep my mouth shut. Right? So, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said now? If you can answer those three questions, then speak up. That makes for a kind response. Just that pause, that patience in the middle. And there's a story from the Gospels in John 8, which talks about this thoughtfulness in love. And I think true love is thoughtful, right? The story, of is the story of the woman caught in the act of adultery. And she's drugged before Jesus by a group of men, saying that this woman has been caught in the very act of adultery, right? They make no mention of the man who must have been taking part in this adultery as well, but they scream and yell and rant that the Bible and the Torah claims that this woman should be stoned to death for her sin. And they ask Jesus, "What do you say?" And he pauses. He stops, and he drops to the ground, and he just plays in the dirt, writing out words in the dirt. Patient. Kind. And when he finally rises, when they ask again, "What say you?" And he says, "Let anyone who among you is without sin be the first to throw a stone." How many of us have missed the mark, have sinned, have done it wrong? How many of us deserve to be stoned by the old biblical injunctions? How many of us could start over again? Patient, kind, thoughtful. Because in our world today, in our world right now, there are a lot of monsters who are throwing big stones. If you remember this story from our Moana service a couple weeks ago, that the lava monster is hurling these stones, these lava rocks at her. And the man, the male figure in the story, Maui, is screaming and yelling and causing all kind of strife and anger right back at the lava monster. But Moana chooses something different. She chooses to hold up the heart. She chooses to hold up light and love. And that very presence of holding up something different reminded the lava, the monster, who it really was, who it really is. That thoughtful interaction, not doing what the world expects us to do, but doing the exact opposite, brings out the wholeness in all of us. The lava monster was really Mother Earth in pain, in suffering, with its heart ripped out, broken. That understanding, that presence shifts us. And love. As Mother Teresa said, we can do no greater things, no great things, only small things with great love. We can do no great things. What a relief. Right? Oh, I can take all the pressure off. Let me just do small things with great amounts of love and watch how the world shifts, how our lives shift, how the Christ, that understanding of wholeness, of divinity, of presence, emerges from within each and every one of us. Love wastefully. Love extravagantly. Love thoughtfully. Unconditionally. Peacefully. Love without ceasing. Let's take that to our time of meditation.